I'm at New York's Waldrof Astoria Hotel for REITWeek 2011. Joining me is Jay Flaherty, Chairman, President, and CEO of HCP. So Jay, your company owns a variety of healthcare assets. Where are you seeing the best opportunity in the sector right now?
Within our 5 sectors, which are medical office buildings, hospitals, life science, senior housing, and post-acute, I would say there are more opportunities today in the senior housing and post-acute sector. Somewhat less opportunities in the hospital and medical office building, and life sciences maybe somewhere in between.
Now, everything that I've heard from people we've spoken to says that demand drivers for the sector are through the roof. Is there enough supply on the market right now, or do you expect there to be a need for new development?
Well, again, just to reset, you're right. The demand driver is the aging baby boomer. So I'm not sure I would say it's off the roof, but I would say that there's virtually nothing that will stop that demand driver, not for next year, not for the rest of this decade, but for the next several decades. So at some point, you're absolutely right, there's not enough supply to absorb that demand. We have, at the present time, either development or redevelopment programs going on in 4 of our 5 sectors: life science, senior housing, post-acute, and medical office. I would say if you add all these up, they're very fine development and redevelopment opportunities, but they're not of a scale in the aggregate that's really going to move the needle for our company. So to a certain extent, we're doing this as a little bit of an experiment. They will have very fine returns on the dollars invested on the part of our shareholders, but we're really looking to kind of fine-tune what our actual strategy will be over the next couple of years.
The healthcare REIT sector has been among the most active in terms of acquisitions. Why is that, and do you expect that to continue?
The space really outperformed during the recession. And again, that goes back to what our fundamental demand driver is. It's the aging population. People still get sick in a recession. The other piece that's important, though, is if you look at all the healthcare real estate that is in the United States, the amount of that healthcare real estate that's owned by the for-profit, publicly traded healthcare REITs is quite small. Most of it today remains on the balance sheets of the big pharmaceutical companies in the life science space, the nonprofit healthcare institutions in the country in the form of hospitals and medical office buildings, and there still is an awful lot of senior housing properties in private hands, mostly on the balance sheets of private equity funds. So all those are potential opportunities to, as they seek liquidity, as the current owners of that real estate seek liquidity or seek partner opportunities, they all become opportunities, and I think has driven a lot of the acquisition activity in healthcare real estate.
And lastly, I want to switch gears a little bit. HCP is one of the REITs in the S&P 500. We're coming up on the 10-year anniversary of S&P opening its doors to REITs. What impact do you think that's had on the industry?
Well, on the industry as a whole, I think it's really become one of a handful, but an important one, that's really been an endorsement of it being a legitimate space. And why that's important is if you think about some of the investors in the publicly traded REITs today that weren't investors 10 years ago, they are very high-quality blue-chip college endowments, pension funds, investors that have very long-dated time horizons, that demand transparency, demand liquidity, but want to have attractive returns. But if you dial that down into healthcare real estate, where we now have not one, we were the first, but we have 3 of our 3 healthcare REITs now, that's done the same thing for the healthcare real estate space. It's helped, kind of for a lot of pension funds discover or endorse the space, and increasingly we're seeing, trading volumes increase. We're seeing more of an index fund ownership stake in our space, in large part because of that S&P 500.
Great, Jay. Thank you very much for joining us.
Okay, thanks for having me here.
For more from REITweek 2011, be sure to visit REIT.com.